Hello, this is Mr. 3Delian, and in this video I want to show you how you can add custom NBT crafting to your data bag. I have not watched any tutorial beforehand, but I know how the system works, and I made a data bag myself with two different methods on how you can do this. I don't know if other data bags do it like exactly the same, but it should kind of be the same. So yeah. Anyways, quick information, what is custom NBT crafting and why is it useful? So in Minecraft, there is NBT tags on every item. So like enchantments, custom model data, repair cost, everything you can name basically is stored in an NBT file on your item. So if your sword has gets damaged, basically this is stored in the NBT files, where basically it tells the game what properties the sword or the item has. So if we lay an item on the ground and we get the NBT of the item, so the NBT data, you can see in here is stored a lot of information, like the motion. The most important is the item part because the other one is the entity. So basically this sword has not really some really important NBT stored in there, because the only NBT the sword actually has stored right now is the damage value, which is 0. And in Minecraft, it is possible. Okay, in Minecraft, it is possible to add custom recipes. So with the data bag, you can change recipes of the game as you like. But the problem is you cannot output an item with a custom NBT value. So you cannot output yourself like a diamond sword that has is already pre-damaged. That's not possible because you can just not use NBT in the crafting table. This is useful because if you do stuff like custom items, you probably use a warped fungus on a stick, right? And you give it a custom model data, you probably make it unbreakable and all that stuff. So you can now not make this item craftable. So you cannot make a recipe for it, output it, and get yourself the custom item you made, because you can just not do that. You can make a recipe for warped fungus on a stick, but that's it. You cannot already store the custom model data and stuff in it. There, however, is a way. I personally am not a huge fan of doing it this way, but it completely works and is safe. Basically, what we can do now is we can craft a custom item. So in here, I added a recipe for awesome sword, and you can already see we use a knowledge book. I will come to this later, but if we click it, you see that we now got a sharpness 5 sword that's called Awesome Sword. And this one now has NBT stored in it. So if we get the tag, we see that it now has enchantments and a custom name stored in it. So this is basically what custom crafting is for. We can manipulate the output that this slot will give us. So we can also, as an example, craft something differently. That is an awesome pickaxe that has unbreaking 3 on it. And this works for every container basically there is. So let me get myself the other stuff. I can't even remember what I used the diamonds for. Yeah, I don't care. But like in here you can see granite smelts to raw iron. But there is already a downside to it, which I will talk later. Then here we get like a diamond out of it. Oh yeah, now I remember. It also works for shapeless too. That's what I wanted to show you. So you can also shapeless craft. This one I will come back later. We can also add a recipe for the smithing table, and what we also can do is we can add recipes for the stone cutter, where different of those icons will give us different outputs. So like this one will give us iron boots, but if we click the second one, we get diamond boots. Yeah, now you can already see there is the big downside to it, which I don't like, and it is that you get a knowledge book. You can use a different item, but most people use the knowledge book for a specific reason. which I also will get into. But basically, this is a custom recipe, and the first downside, as said, is that um, you will not see the output recipe, so you actually will not see that sword being displayed here. You will see that knowledge book, and the second downside to it is that you can see whenever I craft it, we learn that recipe again, and this is actually how that whole system works. We learn and remove the recipe. So the downside is that we also cannot add those recipes to here to see them. Actually, this is a bug. So it shows the recipes here. We cannot click them. If I would relog, it would not show those knowledge books here because actually we don't have the recipe learned. But because it's happening so quickly, there is a bug that it shows in here. If the bug ever gets fixed, they should not show up here. But basically, you need any other way to show people how they can add those recipes, like how they can craft those recipes. So if you add custom recipes with NBT Crafting, you cannot add them here in the recipe book so people can know them. You actually have to make some sort of other way to show it. Some people actually, what I saw was them using the advancement tab where they make recipe advancement tab, and there they create custom icons with their resource pack that basically is the crafting grid that shows the recipe. That actually might be a good idea. But yeah, that's the second downside. You cannot add the recipe to here. So now I want to show you how, I don't know why this bugs out. Now I actually want to show you how this works. So it's actually pretty easy, and I made the example data back so you can modify this, and we will come back to the comment blocks in a bit, why I use comment blocks here. But basically, how it works is that if we look in here, there are some types. Like it basically first off starts with adding the recipe, right? So we add a recipe for, say, the super pickaxe, and this is a normal recipe. You can see here the type is a crafting shape. We have it in a group custom crafting. All what the group is basically for is that it groups items together into one tab. And I made this so there aren't like a lot of knowledge book recipes here. Basically, they are all grouped in one slot. So this is what groups are for. So it's not that bad because it actually just takes away one slot. You don't have to do that. If you remove the group, those recipes will not be all in this slot. They will all be next to each other, which I just don't like. So I made a group and called it custom crafting, and all of them are in that group. Then we have a pattern. This is basically just how the game tells you how do you craft it. Where the D stands for the diamond block and the B stands for the blaze rod. You can use whatever you want. And the result is a knowledge book, and it outputs 1. Knowledge books are unstackable, so I don't even know, but I think if you set this to 2, we can give it a try. But I think if you set it to 2, this will not change anything. I think the game cannot output actually 2, or maybe now the recipe. Oh, it actually can. Okay, yeah, this will bug out some stuff, so maybe don't do it. But I'm surprised you can. Okay, so yeah, basically you add the recipe, and that's the easy step. But now the important thing is, how does the system work? So in Minecraft, as said, you cannot just add NBT here, but what you actually can do is there is an advancement trigger. So we create a custom advancement for the super pickaxe, and basically you get an advancement when you unlock a recipe. So there's a trigger for unlocking a recipe, and it rewards you with a function. So what you can do with advancements is, if you get a specific advancement, you can add a function to it that runs commands. So I could make a data bag where if I have a diamond in my inventory, I get like a whole command setup works that teleports me in another dimension. This can be done with advancements, and there is one trigger that actually tells the game, hey, if you have a specific recipe unlocked, where we tell the game, hey, yeah, we have the super pickaxe advancement unlocked, and if we have that advancement unlocked, please run the reward, which is a function, and run this function. So in here are actually some commands, and what we are doing then is we give the player the item we want the player to have. We remove the player one knowledge book, because when he clicks on a knowledge book, he has one more knowledge book. So if like the player already has like 5 knowledge books in the inventory because he gets them from somewhere else and they actually need it, I don't know, it will only clear one because you also only clicked it once. Then we, and that's the important part, we take away the advancement and the recipe, because now it resets itself. So we no longer know the recipe and we no longer know the advancement. So the whole process can be redone, because if we again craft a recipe, so the system is basically that Minecraft, as soon as you craft a recipe that you don't know, you automatically unlock that recipe you didn't know. This is a vanilla feature. Normally you unlock the recipes when you have like specific items, like you unlock the blast furnace when you have smooth stone in the inventory. But if you would not, for some reason, unlock that recipe and you craft the blast furnace, you will unlock that recipe. And this is how this whole system works. Basically, you unlock the recipe of the crafting of the item as soon as you crafted it, and then the advancement will detect that you unlocked that recipe. Then it will run those functions, give you the item, clears you the knowledge book, takes away the advancement again, and takes away the recipe again. So if you craft the item again, you learn the recipe again, you get the advancement again, you get the item again, you get the knowledge book removed again, and then you get the advancement and the recipe taken away from you again. And this is happening really quick, so it actually is fail proof if you craft a lot of items. So if we craft those items with shift right click, it actually works completely fine. So this will not break, but you always will see that you unlocked a new recipe which is taken away from you, and it shows up here even though it shouldn't. And this is basically how the whole system works, and you can copy paste this for everything, and it works pretty much the same for everything. So if we have like super raw iron ore from smelting granite, this then is just an furnace recipe. So this is a type smelting. There is also type blasting or type smoking. That's just the different stations, the furnace, the smoker, and the blast furnace. Basically, you just add the recipe here, but function-wise, it's the same thing again. Because there is no real difference advancement-wise too. But now let's come to the common blocks. So in a furnace, actually using the knowledge book has a big downside. Using it, as you can see, you can only stack up to one item. So we cannot like have let the furnace cook like 64 granite, because he only can cook one knowledge book, because a knowledge book is unstackable, so it will only give you one here. So we can click this. If you don't care about this, that's totally fine. But there is a way around this, and this is by using comment blocks. We basically just use the knowledge book and the comment block because it's an item that's not used in survival, and a survival player cannot get. So it does not matter if we clear it. So here we use a comment block, which actually then can stack, and you can see if we take out any amount, like now we have 23 in here, and I take out that amount, I actually get 23. So this system also works, but there is just one difference in the whole function system. So it's still the same. That would be, what is it again? Awesome gold. So super gold from blasting. Basically it's the same. We have a recipe for blasting. We get a reward again when we unlock that recipe. That gives us that function, but now this function is actually a bit different because it has one line more. So what we do, instead of giving the player the item, clearing a knowledge book, what we actually are doing is we summon the item. So we summon the item we want to have at the player position, not give it directly to him. Because we need that so we can store something in it, because we can't actually store stuff in player data. That's just not possible. So we summon the item at the position where the player is, and then we execute store result of the item count byte 1 from the comment block. So what we actually do is we store, we still execute from the player, because it's the one that runs the advancement is the player that executes. So basically every comment is run by the player, right? So what we do is we store and result in the nearest item, the nearest item that's at the player, which is this item, because it just got summoned directly in the player. So it is the nearest item. And we store it in the item.count. So this means we change the value of how many items it is. This is in bytes. This is just a multiplier, so we do it with 1, because we don't, if we put 2 here, it would be double the amount, but we want just the normal amount. And then we do run clear at s Minecraft comment block 0. So this command will detect how many comment blocks a player has in the inventory, and then we clear the comment block. So actually what it does is it stores, it summons the item, it only summons 1 raw gold, right? But if we clicked on the comment block and we have like 23 comment blocks on our mouse wheel, the game detects, stores the amount of comment blocks we have right now on our mouse. It stores that amount in the count value of here. So instead of it being 1, it will be the amount of comment blocks that the player has on his mouse or has in the inventory, and we can basically just get that value from clearing a player's comment blocks, but actually clear 0, because this will output us how many items a player has in here. So if we go back in here, or show it like this, so if we have 64 command blocks, we can do clear at s command blocks, right? And it tells us that we cleared 64 command blocks. But what we can do is we can clear command block 0, and then it will not clear the command blocks, but it will tell us how many command blocks we actually have. So now it tells us we have 32, but it actually didn't clear us the command blocks. And this is what we are using here. We store that value in the counts of the raw gold. Then the player automatically picks it up, because it just happens so fast, but the player picks the right amount up. Then we clear all command blocks, we take the advancement away, and we take the recipe away. So it's basically just that one more line, which you probably only need to use when you use a furnace, because with that system you actually can have command blocks. But there is now another downside to this, and this is a big one actually, which I will tell you not, which is not, there is no fix in the data pack I'm providing, but I tell you that this problem exists. If you use a hopper, you will get those items outside, and since it no longer is a recipe you unlock by taking those items out of here, you basically broke that whole system and made yourself items that the player should not get. So what you actually have to do something around it. So what you could maybe do is you have a blast furnace with a marker, you change a few values of it, and you can make it that hoppers are locked. So you could maybe set the hopper again underneath it and set the enabled value to false. And as soon as you do that, the hopper will no longer output stuff. And this also can will not be I think it is. Okay, so you have to keep those in mind and have to maybe lock him all the time, but he will not update but by placing a block next to him. So redstone block will update this, but it will not be updated with any other block. Did it? Did it just update? Am I wrong? Oh yeah, it did. Maybe that's something that it didn't do previously and it was a bug and is fixed now. But actually, yeah, you have to find a way around this. But I just want to tell you that this is a problem that you have to fix somehow. Maybe by adding custom, making them custom blocks with using markers and stuff. I don't care. I just wanted to show you how all of those custom crafting system work. And download for the example data pack is in the video description, of course. You can just download it, use it. You don't need to credit me because that's a system that's used for a long time now. I'm personally not a fan of the whole system because I just think it still does not feel that vanilla-ish. It really feels like commands. So my method still would be to completely make an own custom crafting table, but that's probably too hard to do for some people. Yeah, it just looks terrible. But what I also can recommend is by maybe changing the name in a resource pack of the knowledge book to something like recipe ingredient, and maybe change the texture to something that is just better looking, so it's not just that boring knowledge book. Maybe it's in hammer or stuff, so it looks better. I don't care. But yeah, this is how you can add custom NBT crafting. And if you liked it, maybe consider subscribing and clicking that bell, and maybe leave a like. And I hope to see you again very soon. And I wish you a wonderful evening. Goodbye.